Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are back. Woo!
Yeah.
Hello.
I know. Everybody's like super
Oh,
excited.
we
It's been
are.
what? Almost a month?
Has it been that long?
It's been almost a month. Yeah.
You've been touring the world, that's why.
I have been out. You guys were out before that.
No, we weren't.
No, we were not.
No,
We were
wait.
here. We had one after
We
that.
had one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys came back,
So don't blame it on us.
and then I left.
Well,
You
he was
abandoned
out.
us.
What are you talking about?
I abandoned.
I wasn't out.
He was out.
No, I wasn't.
We'll
I
talk
was-
about that right now.
Isaac had the vid.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it now then.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I didn't have that.
So what happened?
Then what did you have?
I just had a cold.
Oh,
Called
that's what we're
COVID.
calling it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Did you get tested?
Yes.
Because you were in
What
this.
was it?
You were in this show.
That's
say-
personal information that I was just not.
You were talking smack in this show, like, oh,
Yeah,
those
that's what
people
I
and
was
these
saying.
people and COVID.
That wasn't me.
It's not real.
That wasn't me. It was.
Who was it?
Era un plan del diablo para.
I think he had it again just to like continue
I
his
just-
vacation
I just
stunt.
didn't want to come to church, Pastor. To be
Like,
honest.
You know what? I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
Now go repent.
Nah, I just played that. I had the vid as they calling it out there.
You don't know how you got it?
I don't know if it was the 19, the 20, the 21. I don't know which one it was.
It was one of them.
Or the new one. What's the new one called? The Army Corps or whatever? I don't know.
Omnibus.
No, it's not the Omnibus.
I'm just kidding.
What's it
No.
called? The South African one? I don't know if it was that one, but I had the vid.
Omicron.
There you go.
Omicron.
I don't know.
How did it got? That sounds like a cool name though.
That's the new.
It's not.
It's not.
I need a new dog, so I can name him Omicron.
Wow.
What happened to your dog?
I just like that name. Leviathan, he's doing great.
We should do a podcast on that,
Levitian.
About dogs?
about dogs
Leviathan.
and the Bible.
All dogs go to heaven. It says it in Proverbs.
No.
No, Bible
Just
says
kidding.
all dogs stay outside
See, there you go.
in darkness.
I think
We're
he
gonna-
was talking about humans.
We're gonna lose a lot of viewers like that, Pastor. And I don't care. I don't mind it.
There's a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
I want to provoke them
Probably.
to comment something.
Yeah. But yeah.
If you have a dog, go ahead and comment below.
Comment its name.
And
Yeah,
send,
yeah.
and send pictures of
Yeah, let us know. You changed the name of your dog, didn't you?
Yeah, he has
Well,
a
he
lot
used to
of
be your
names.
dog.
Yes, he's not my dog now.
Ooh,
What?
yeah.
He went to with the to the person that feeds them and takes care of them.
That's
Well, I feed him and take care of him, but
Oh no. Oh yeah. Well, it's probably the ones that are more affectionate, probably.
I think it's the ones that are that spend the most time with.
Oh yeah, more affection.
Which is you.
No, I think he's a smart dog. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
what do you mean, like smart? Like what?
like he gives everybody attention.
When he has to.
Uh-huh.
When it's convenient for him.
When he wants his
Yeah,
name.
yeah. When he wants something, he knows who to go to. In other words, I think. Probably
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Like it depends on what he wants, and then he knows
exactly.
who to trick.
Yeah, I found a way to maybe kind of own a dog, but not really, and then
What?
get rid of it, which is pretty cool too. Yeah,
I don't know where this is going.
yeah,
You mean like you want a dog sit?
yeah. Like a foster
Oh, they have that.
dog.
Do
Yeah,
they
they do.
Yeah,
They-
they do. You
they do.
foster a dog.
You know the service dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Those are awesome.
someone raises them and trains them. So it's usually volunteers that do that. So you get the dog when they're babies, 3 months or something like
And
that.
they're puppies.
Puppies, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you train them for 6 months a year, and then once you train them, then you give them up.
But that sounds like a lot of work.
You know
That's a
that's like
lot
a
of work.
full-time gig,
Yeah,
though,
that's
right?
a full time job.
Oh yeah, it is.
You,
You
gotta
don't-
train
you
them
don't
4
want-
times a day.
You don't want that, Pastor.
No, I'm saying that it's an option because what you do is like you train them, but then you know that dog is gonna go serve somebody.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
So if you don't want a dog,
There's no way. If I have him, I'm gonna keep him.
Yeah.
That guy's not getting it. It's mine.
He's not gay.
I know you can't see, but it's mine. I
So
thought I could. I
it's
thought
not
I could
mine?
give him up, but I can't. I can't. He's mine.
he's big now.
My service dog.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. There's no
Is
way
your
I could.
dog
I could
big?
do that.
No.
Mine's a T-Rex. Definitely.
Mine's huge.
You have koi fish.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't you have a cat, or he just took off,
No, what?
or like a street cat that was always hanging
No,
out? Oh.
they're always there. Like I go when
He left it at the church and
when
it's
we
still
get
there.
home. When we get home, there's like a table, like a
Yeah,
patio table
yeah.
in the front, and they're always sitting there.
Down sitting there.
Put a gallon of water
the
and,
boss.
they won't stay there no more.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Is this true?
Put a
No,
what?
Just pour some pepper around there for a little while and they won't come back.
Wow.
Pepper for cats too?
So I'm guessing
Yeah.
they're
What kind of
we're-
pepper?
Because if they smell, it's like
Oh, like pepper.
It burns them.
Wow.
Oh,
So you
lots
guys
of
don't like
tricks.
cats,
Lots of
huh?
tricks. I like that. I think I'm gonna implement them.
And I cat people here.
Yeah. Hey, so we've been out for almost 3 weeks, and there's a lot of news. We're not gonna go over the whole thing. We really are not.
Thank you.
It's Sunday, and we're tired. But we are gonna talk about a few.
We are. Indeed.
Yeah, indeed. So
Like it's Christmas season.
yeah. So the first one
is that news though?
the first one is
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Heck.
Thanksgiving.
See, that's old news.
No, that's not old news.
That's we're still Thanksgiving week. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving ended.
Yeah.
Christmas is overrated.
Yesterday. No, but hey, one of the things that I saw in the news about
Uh-huh.
Thanksgiving is people trying to cancel it.
Lies.
But have they always been trying to cancel it?
No, but now it's like straight out.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, they're just crazy people.
So the controversy is, should Christians celebrate Thanksgiving?
oh my God, here we go with this.
Wow.
I love turkey.
Is that a real question, Pastor?
That's a real question.
Oh my God. All right, who wants to answer that?
I don't
Nobody.
even know.
We should always
Okay.
be thankful.
They don't
but
care, yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, they don't care. Like, yeah, whatever. Let's be thankful. The Bible says we should be thankful for everything.
Yeah, we should be thankful every day.
No, but to what extreme do you go to say this is a horrible holiday
Oh well.
imposed by blah blah blah, or I don't know.
I don't care where it came from. It's
It's a
turkey's
nice
delicious.
It's a nice holiday.
Turkey's delicious.
Oh, one of the things that I heard.
I like the holiday. I get a day off. I
One
get
of the
to
things
eat
that I
some
heard is like, why should we eat turkey? Why can't we just eat
Oh,
Italian food
oh my
for
God.
Thanksgiving?
Well, you can.
Well, you can do
No
what
one
you want.
forces you.
Exactly.
No, I
to eat
will.
turkey.
But I won't come to your party.
Oh, I will tell them. I will make fun of them.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, wait a minute. I don't understand you because you don't like here we go again comment, and then
The
if
here we
you
go.
don't have turkey,
The here we go comment was
that's
for
a little.
Oh, I know. What
no. The here we
Amanda.
go again was for if somebody's really asking, should Christians celebrate Thanksgiving?
Pastor was asking.
What you're getting at? No, I know what you're getting at. What you're getting at is making an issue out of something
Yeah.
that should not be an
It
issue
should
at
be.
all.
It shouldn't be an issue.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I felt offended when you said it.
Did that?
Yeah.
Is that a real issue,
I
Pastor?
felt offended when you're like, here we go again. Oh, really?
Well, that's everybody nowadays, Pastor. Everybody's offended at something for some reason.
Well,
I think we're.
I'm just kidding.
I think-
I'm not offended.
I think people are too much into themselves and have to get over themselves.
Narcissistic society.
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
telling
right.
you. Telling you.
People have different opinions. You get used to
But
it.
I mean, my point is that it's true, right? I mean, we shouldn't discuss these things because they're dumb. But apparently, for some people, they make a wave in the news because they think they come up with something creative or
Woke.
new by saying, "Hey, we shouldn't eat turkey. We should eat Italian food because that's racist if we eat turkey."
no.
I mean,
it's
do
not
you
racist.
know what?
Did someone actually say that?
do you
Oh.
know what a tradition is?
Yes.
Are you aware?
Because people don't even like traditions anymore. 'Cause
Yeah.
They say they're just a reminder of the old
Plus,
ways.
Steph is right. I mean, eat whatever you want.
No, I'm saying you could eat whatever you
I
want,
did.
but I could also have the right to make fun of you for it too. Or like Gil said, I won't go to your party.
No, thank you.
I thought that
I'll
was.
have my turkey and my ham at
Yeah,
home.
I want my
Okay, so
turkey,
I
my
know-
ham, my stuffing.
I know you guys don't follow
My pumpkin pie.
entertainment or movies.
No,
and
we
stuff
don't do
like
that.
But
True
last time we talked,
Uh-huh.
one of the things that was in the news was that Chris Pratt was gonna play Mario.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
good. I love it.
What?
You know Mario, right?
How do you feel
Super
about that?
Mario.
How do you feel about that topic, Steph?
Yeah, it's me, Mario.
The same I feel
Isn't he
as
tall and
people
skinny?
talking about.
Isn't he too
Thanksgiving.
tall and skinny?
Who?
Pratt?
It's a cartoon. He's playing a cartoon. He's voicing.
So he's not playing it.
no, he's
How
voicing.
about we talk about how?
All right, let's move
Sushi-
on.
How
Can
that
we move
movie
on?
sucked.
No. This
Which
is
one?
important.
Let's move on from
This
this.
is
Just
not-
this is a cartoon. It's not real.
No, let's not move on because
It's not real.
It's true.
It's a cartoon.
It's true. But
Your voice doesn't matter.
But the controversy behind it is real because you have people saying. I mean, I'm talking
But
about.
we already talked about that.
I know, but it doesn't go
It's
away.
important
That's
for
my
Pastor.
point.
Okay.
My point is that it doesn't go away. That it continues.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't-
it
I haven't
does.
heard it, Pastor.
I have.
I guess I'm not that into.
I have. No, but the point is the same. The point is that they're angry because he's playing Mario, who is Italian, and he's not Italian. And then then Mario is like made by Japanese, and no one said anything about that at all.
Yeah.
No one complained about all these years. No one complained that
Because I think, like I said again, I think There's just people have too much time on their hands.
Here's my thing. I've never watched a cartoon movie and be like, oh, I love that he's the voiceover. I don't know. You know who's the only one I can think of right now?
Who?
And just because I'm forcing myself to do
Bugs
it.
Bunny.
No. Who is that? I have no idea.
Wow.
In Shrek, the donkey,
Yeah.
it's that, what's his name? That funny
Eddie,
comedian
Eddie
guy.
Murphy.
That's
Eddie Murphy.
That's it. That, like literally, and when I watched it, I wasn't like, oh, Eddie Murphy's doing a good job. I
Yeah,
don't
and
care.
he's also the dragon.
I'll tell you what,
Huh?
it's just funny. The donkey is funny. I care less who's behind it,
Yeah.
and I don't think
Yeah.
the majority of the people even realize
Yeah,
who
but
it
they.
is.
But my point, guys, is that they make it political about everything.
But
I mean,
everything's political.
That's what I'm
nowadays.
saying. Like
that-
they're irrelevant.
they're
Whoever's doing that.
ridiculous. So, I mean, actors act, right? You're supposed to play a role that
Yeah.
you're not. That's what
Yeah.
acting is all about.
I think we're.
So my problem is
They
that
should-
when you say things like, why don't you have an Italian playing Mario? Because then that wouldn't be acting, would it?
No.
I mean, you want people who know how to express certain. I don't know. It's crazy.
You know what it is, Pastor?
They should just be thankful.
I think we're all just fatigued of all this nonsense.
They should just be
I
thankful
stopped caring about it a long time ago.
that actors are willing to do the voices, and you're not gonna have that same dude that does the dad and the son. I don't know.
like in the
Like,
Spanish dubbing.
Son, come over here.
Yeah.
I'm coming, daddy. Like it's the same guy.
You would be a good
But
voice actor.
Do you mean we have real issues in the world and then we're worried about who's playing what in a
Do
movie?
your do
Pastor is worried. I'm not.
do your cookie your
No.
gingerbread man. Do
yeah,
your Pinocchio.
No.
Your Shrek.
that's how tired I am of these people, Pastor. I just ignore them now. They're just crazy. There's no saving them. Only God will. But
only God can
Well,
save them.
yeah, at this point,
It's the only name that saves. What are you saying?
that's what I'm saying. But I'm at this point, like, there's nothing I could do. I just had to ignore them because
Yeah, and then the other news is Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
Rittenhouse. Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Ooh, that's quite a jump from one to the other.
Yeah.
Seeing, yeah, there you go.
All right, let's go to real topics.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Not Mario.
No, I'm not gonna watch that.
Mario is real.
Hey, but I would say this: if anybody knows where I could find a Nintendo Switch, you let me know. I would throw that out there.
No, like an OLED.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying over market price. So
Oh no, they're good. They're
no, don't go.
They're
don't
getting
get that
crazy. for that.
I'd rather never have.
So Kyle went free, and people are losing their minds over
He
it.
went free.
I mean, he wasn't accused of anything,
Oh no,
right?
because he didn't do anything.
I
like,
can't share what I really want to say about him
why not? Just
that I have
say it.
against him.
Against Kyle?
I don't have nothing against him.
What do you have against him?
The kid's not all there.
Well,
Like he's not like
valid.
stable.
I don't know.
I watched him talk, and he's awkward. He's weird.
Well, he is a.
But he's
17-year-old.
also not he's not like guilty. I don't think either. I mean, the law is black and white, and if you can't prove it with the law that he was breaking the law, then he's guilty. Then he's not
And I think
guilty.
that's
Then
what a
let
lot
him
of-
go.
I think that's what a lot of people miss because
Yeah,
people,
then change the law.
people
you know?
see what happened and they're like, he's immediately guilty.
Yeah.
But people ignore that there are laws, there are technicalities
Yeah.
that people ignore and that judges and lawyers have to go through in order to reach a verdict.
I think it
But
was.
we have our in-house
Attorney.
attorney
Do you know what happens there?
and
No, I haven't
legal
followed the
students.
case.
She doesn't know. So our legal expert didn't follow the case.
She's too busy with law school.
So this is what I know. I did follow the case there.
Okay,
Okay.
then go for it.
Thank you.
The media narrative that was painted from the beginning, it was totally false.
Okay, so what I see
Wait,
from that,
hold on. Backtrack a second
Yeah.
because first you need to say the facts of what
The facts,
happened.
okay, the facts of the story.
no, before you even say that,
Okay.
what I'm gonna say is this: the media apparently painted their own
Yes,
version
yeah, for sure.
before looking
for sure.
at everything.
Well, we already know
This-
that's what happens all
this-
the time.
okay.
right?
I think
so-
Yeah.
the way the facts were, the truth is, I don't think this should have gone to trial. I don't think it should have. But the truth is this: he did cross state line. It's only 20 miles away from from Kenosha. His dad lives in that city, in that community. He works in that community. The rifle he used was not didn't cross the border. The rifle was in that area. He purchased it from a friend. So whether or not he should have been there, which I don't know, I don't care.
You can do what you want, really.
Yeah,
I
at
mean,
17, I probably don't advise it to be there with a gun. But it's his right to be there, just as it's the right for people that were there protesting, rioting, whatever you want to call it. That's their right to be there too. He was there, didn't lawfully, and he got chased by a person that was that day. The first person he killed, or the first person he shot that day, that person had gotten out of a mental hospital, and there were reports and witnesses saying that he was being obscene, not threatening, but he was saying like "kill me, shoot me" and stuff.
So there was already like
The guy was something was wrong with the guy,
Yeah.
obviously, and his background wasn't clean. He was charged with raping I don't know stuff like crazy stuff. If you want to read about it, go ahead. But anyway, he shot that guy. He was being chased. So the rule of self-defense is you try to de-escalate and leave the area, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he was doing when he was running. But he turned around. The guy was on him. Reached for his rifle. He felt threatened. So he shot him. And then he runs away towards the police. I guess he gets tripped by somebody chasing him. And then he shoots a guy that had hit him with a skateboard once or twice already. Shot him. I think he shot him dead. And then the third guy pointed a handgun on. He took out his handgun and shot him, and he's the one that shot him through the arm. And he was running away from the situation. So and just for him trying to de-escalate by running away, that itself is self-defense, because they attacked him. So I think all those facts, the way you look at it, it's a clear cut. It's a clear cut case. He was
meaning
innocent.
that he didn't go shooting people.
Yeah, he didn't provoke it, or he didn't escalate the situation by sticking around or being in somebody's face. He was running away from the
So
problem.
he shot because he got shot at, or because he
Well, the first one is because the guy was close to him.
Wasn't the guy that got shot through the arm? Wasn't he aiming a gun at him? At his
He
head?
pulled out his gun,
And-
which wasn't illegal. He wasn't supposed to have a gun.
wow.
Yeah, he
um,
was going to point it at him.
Yeah,
and he
I
shot
just
him
say
through
wow because everything else that everybody would do, that's fine.
Yeah.
Only what he did.
Well,
Yep.
they didn't allow the details
wrong.
of the first guy, the pedophile. They didn't allow those details of
Yeah, he was a
of,
pedophile.
of his history to be admissible in
Why?
court. I don't know. No, that, like, also I keep hearing like, oh, judge, bunch of racism. That's why he's free. The judge was a Democrat, and so were like the prosecutors and
So you have no argument. really.
They don't. It's just I think the media just
the media.
put a narrative out there, and then people ran with
And
it.
they thought it was gonna go their way.
Yeah.
And
But
and
there never was. If you look at the facts of the story,
No.
it couldn't have been more than anything other than self-defense.
But I think the inflammatory kind of coverage is what is really troublesome. I mean, right after that, you have Hollywood celebrities up in
Mhm.
arms saying racism is
Yeah.
not fair.
Yeah.
I was reading an article by The Guardian saying, "Oh, it's open season on people who protest now
See, yeah.
because of this."
Yeah.
Nothing else was wrong.
No.
It's not open season on business owners, right? That they're being burned, their businesses. That's okay.
And then he just came out in his first interview. He came out. He said he's an BLM supporter.
Wow.
So Kyle Rittenhouse said that on his first interview that he supports BLM. So it just tells you that the whole media narrative is dumb.
They're
it's
trying to
lying.
win wherever they can, and
Yeah.
it's not very.
Don't get me wrong. Like this
very
guy, I don't see him as a hero. People are doing it the other way, the other side too.
No,
to
he
the
should
right.
get slapped in the wrist and get him out of there. He should
People
never
are-
be able to own a firearm again.
People too are like saying, he's a hero, and he's not a hero.
No, I mean,
Get outta here.
but I think what we're talking about is legalities.
No, I know, but there's one way that one side takes it, like
Yeah.
he's a racist, and the other one is he's a hero. He's not a hero. He's just he's just a kid
He is just a kid.
that was like put himself in a bad situation, a dangerous situation, and did he commit a crime? No, he protected himself, and he's in the right to do that. But he should go back to his normal life and do what he wants.
and don't do it again.
Yeah, like I guess if you're
I like that. I
if
like
you're
how-
there like at 17, it's kind of hard to justify being there when you're like underage, But he didn't commit any crimes.
I thought it was interesting that there were the whole like, oh, look at this, he traveled from this far,
Yeah,
to
it's
get
like
there,
20 miles away.
like this far away across state lines,
Just
and
to do this.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like, what about the first victim that traveled even
Oh,
further
yeah.
to get there?
Yeah, all the guys that he did, all the guys involved with that he shot, I think most of them were like they all had come from out of state.
Even further.
Yeah, so
Wow. And that doesn't matter. It's just what he did.
yeah.
That just the one-sided thing is just really getting tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's just
And then you want to compare it to all these other cases. Why does it have to be compared to this? Look at this case. If he was this color, if this would have happened. Why? It's all on its own, right? They stand. I mean, now if you're using another case in the past in trial and
To
you know,
reference, yeah.
then so be it. But if you're just gonna throw up these crazy examples and these other trials going on at the time, like, get out of here with that. I thought it was interesting how the gun charge got immediately tossed out.
yeah, it was like a technicality.
Yeah, it was like, oh well, was the barrel illegal? No.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
then throw it out. Immediately whacked the.
That's funny. Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, I'm not saying that.
So
It's
you're pro guns.
Yeah, it's fantastic to shoot people if they come at you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that there's a whole lot of misunderstanding
Mm-hmm.
of how this works, because you're thinking that he's going to go to jail because of my emotions,
Yeah.
because I feel it was wrong, as
Mhm.
opposed to what does the law say.
Yeah.
And that's what like the lawyers and
Yeah.
the judge is there for, and the jury is there for,
Yeah.
to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because people forget that the jury, for example, is supposed to be a selection of the peers, right?
Mm-hmm.
The judge is supposed to be neutral, and then the lawyers, they're each fighting for their own case. But there's a whole bunch of other things that you have to consider before you come to a conclusion, say racism or preference or whatever the case may be. There was the other case that they found them guilty.
Maud Arbery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I think that one it was a good judgment. I seen the video and it's bad.
They shouldn't have.
They shouldn't have gone after him.
Yeah.
They're I think that one they could have prevented by just calling the cops and let the cops handle it.
Yeah.
It was just
The one he was running through the neighborhood.
yeah, he was running through the neighborhood. And, whether or not he was stealing, I don't know. I don't know.
You can't just go and shoot.
Yeah, but
somebody.
you can't go and put it in your hands. Say I'm gonna stop him.
No.
And the way they stopped him, it was
Well, not unless he's on your property and attacking.
no,
you
he
or
was running
something.
on the street.
Then
and
then that's not. Or was he hurting somebody else?
I mean,
No,
they
no.
went after him.
they went after
yeah,
him. Yeah.
that's not okay.
Yeah, they said they were just gonna stop him, but if you stop somebody with
Throw-
a gun at them, you don't expect them to,
Throw away the key.
or to no, you don't expect them to defend themselves. I'm pretty sure he was gonna try to fight back, and that's what he did, and that's when they shot him.
Exactly.
Like, you can't expect
What are you gonna do? You either
Yeah.
run, and if you run, they shoot you.
Yeah.
If you fight, they shoot
So
you.
yeah,
So
So,
that's a good example. I mean, would you say that the whole system is broken and rigged and all these
No.
things? You don't have evidence for
Well,
that.
Yeah,
You have to different cases, and I think justice has been served.
yeah, for sure.
In
I think
both.
so, yeah.
Every case has different circumstances too. You can't
What do you think, Steph?
throw them all in the same.
No, I don't, because I don't know I didn't follow any of the cases. So
But do you think the system is broken?
do I think the system
Yeah.
is broken?
The legal system.
Legal
No,
system.
I don't think it's broken. I don't think we're objective anymore. The
Yeah.
law is not objective.
Yeah.
The law is it's become subjective because of the people in power, because of the people like appealing to their emotions, a public emotion.
That's
So
sad, huh?
we're not
Well,
in some
I mean,
instances,
what-
right?
What you're saying that's not right, or you're saying that that's just the state of things?
It depends on who's in the courtroom, I
Oh,
think.
What I think going with that is that I'm not a lawyer.
Well, neither am I. So.
Most people are not lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just assume and say, "Oh, this is gonna come out the way I feel like it should come out,"
Yeah.
and then get angry when it doesn't,
Uh-huh.
because you're not a lawyer.
Yeah.
Most people are not.
But that doesn't really matter anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
No, and if they prove like
That's what I'm saying. That what matters now is not the law, but how I feel about the law.
Yeah.
yeah, then
Or
change
how-
the law the right
yeah.
way, and not just no, that's not fair. Well,
Yeah.
wait, it's the law.
Yeah.
Then change the law, right?
Yeah.
Well,
But
vote
do it
for
the right way,
Vote
and
for it. Yeah.
and if you can't turn the law, because probably because you're in the wrong.
Yeah. So
Well, maybe not in the
There's-
wrong.
well,
but
there's
the
a process to-
the majority voted to say
Exactly.
we don't want to change that part
Yeah.
of the law. We want to keep it as it is. And you still have the right, if you're not part of the majority, to say, I want to keep fighting to see if we can change it.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. That's
And that's
part of
democracy.
our
Yeah.
our process.
I have a
But now, both groups, right? And it doesn't matter who it is. Like, they want to find loopholes or
Yeah,
circumvent the
yeah.
system
Yeah.
to get their way.
yeah,
And accuse the system
Yeah.
of being broken or
And-
or damaged or
and-
unfair.
yes, and it's not to say that it's the perfect system,
No, yeah.
And there's problems with the system, like any other system. It's not like I said, it's not perfect, but there's problems with it. There's also the other side where I've heard of. I've seen this guy interviewed that he runs a nonprofit, and he deals with people that have been incarcerated, while they're being innocent. And and he's talked about like instances where, and it goes back to what Steph said, where you have people letting their emotions, even people as prosecutors or DAs, that want to get a person just because they think he's guilty, even though the evidence might say something else or the evidence not there. They still go and prosecute the person and throw them in jail, even though they know that something's not right. And that's happened before. There's a handful of cases where you've seen people that go to jail and they were innocent, and then years after they come out and say, you know what, yeah, he was wrongly convicted.
wow.
And destroy like 40 years of people's
Yeah.
lives.
And
And
that-
and that has to go back to with when it's prosecutors. The more you win the cases
Yes,
successfully, the more
successfully.
you move up the
Yeah,
ladder.
yeah.
Your career, like climbing the ladder, has to do with
Yeah,
that, with
yeah.
successfully prosecuting these people. So then it comes. That's where the personal
Yeah,
intersects with
interest,
the
yeah.
law, and then it's not objective
Or
anymore.
people that it could be more than it's people that don't want to be wrong, right? If you're a DA
because
that
they're
says
tied to the fact
that,
of-
or they just fixate on
I mean,
somebody.
if you lose, you lose.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that doesn't look.
And it goes with
period.
detectives too. People that are investigating these crimes, they go, okay, I think this is the bad guy. It's got to be him. It's him, and they don't follow the evidence, or they just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, because then you're like a loser if
Yeah.
you don't. But I also think though that there's a lot of a big part of it is the language.
Yeah, that's
Is how we use language and what language means within federal or state or any case whatsoever. Just the legal language.
yeah.
It could be so convoluted, so misleading sometimes. And I think lawyers at one point or another, they need to speak that language to the point that not all of them, but some of them will use the twisting of the language to get what they need to get to in order to win that case.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most interesting part of it. How many
They become manipulators of language. Is that what
I
we're
think, I
per
think
se?
I think so. I think well, the
Yeah.
law says this, but what it really
Yeah.
means, or if we say it this way.
Yeah. But you're convincing 12 people at that point. That's
Exactly.
not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You can make it look a certain way to 1-2 people, but 12 people, and then those people talk amongst themselves. And if there's one stronger willed than others, like
yeah. Like for
it's
example,
far fetched.
let's go all the way back to the 90s and the O.J. Simpson case.
Oh, don't even.
No, but what I'm saying is that this is televised, right? This is when the world started listening and watching and seeing, hey, this is how a courtroom works. So what was the one thing that you remember from that, if you were alive or watching it? The language. Because the language,
the glove.
because if it doesn't fit, you must have
Yeah,
quit
I remember that line.
I mean, that stays with you,
Yeah.
or what they marked and what they emphasize beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So if the jury has,
For some reason.
some reasonable doubt, then literally it doesn't matter how much evidence you present and how much it points to it, but you use that language. You already you brought into the whole equation. You brought into the existence of the case a language that helps you get away from it, even if it points to you.
I think
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it goes. I think it comes down to the root of the problem is just being, people have not distinguished or like have said there is a court, the legal court, and there's the court of public opinion. You know,
Mm-hmm.
of how people feel about it, and people were quick to judge these cases, and not knowing all the facts.
Yeah.
You know, we're a lot of people are quick to say, yeah, he's guilty. I don't care.
He shot.
That's it. It's
killed.
over with. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's the problem too. When you're allowing yourself to jump to these conclusions without knowing every single detail of the story or the case, and that's the problem too. When you jump to conclusions and you make your own narrative by thinking, or thinking one way and say, yeah, he's guilty because it's not about how it's not about if you don't like what he's doing. It's if he committed a crime or not.
Yeah, and everybody watches Law and Order, right?
Yeah, everybody's
And CSI.
a lawyer at the end of the day.
CSI might
I watch Suits.
You watch. Isn't that old?
All those shows could be further from what it really
I
is.
know. I know.
Yeah, and it's more.
They're entertaining, though, to say the
fantastical,
least.
more mythological, even I think.
Yeah.
I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
I just want to put it out there from a
Steph will answer this
Christian perspective.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about guns, being Christians and our church?
I don't have a gun.
How do you feel about us having them? Or what is? Because I mean, I hear both arguments, and I'm only saying it because I've asked people, point blank, like, hey, how do you feel about guns? And some people are like, yeah, they're cool, I have hunting guns, and couple.
You can shoot them.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
target practice, whatever it is, but I also hear people that say like, oh, I don't believe in that, or like, well, I shouldn't have them as believers, and I shouldn't.
Why should
But I don't need that. Like
Why shouldn't you have it as believers?
no. Well, there's people that say like, oh, I don't need that.
But what would be the-
God protects me. I don't need that as
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah.
I've heard that, and I mean, I respect it. I do believe God does protect you.
For
Mhm.
sure.
But I mean, they're also tools.
Yeah. Well, it's a
I think being safe is something good,
yeah.
and good things come from God.
I think the question that you're gonna find when asking that question is
It's a really hard topic, huh?
well, I think it comes down to this question. If talking about Christianity beyond your opinion and
Yeah.
beyond your preference and
Yeah.
what the Bible says. Obviously, the Bible doesn't say don't get guns or get
Mhm.
guns, and there's other language again that is used.
Mm-hmm.
But as a Christian, it's gonna come down to answering this question. How much do you trust God to protect you? Because if you do, then people will argue with you and say, well, don't get a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do get a gun, then what you're saying is, well, you don't trust God. You're going to protect yourself. I think it comes down to that. I think we can argue all day long, but it comes down to that in philosophically speaking.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. I have guns, but I didn't. Yeah, I have a couple. I didn't get them for protection as of myself. Like I thought about it, like, oh, I needed something to protect myself. I didn't have that. I thought they were cool. They go shoot targets. You go target practice. You know.
Will you use it for self-protection though, and to protect your family?
I guess if I'm in a situation, probably most likely, yeah. Like if I have a tool at home, it's not different from you being.
So please do not go into this guy's
Yeah.
house at night.
It's not any different if you hear somebody hear somebody breaking in. If you're at home, what are you gonna grab? Either a knife or a bat or something, right? It's whatever you have readily at home, right?
A dog. Throw the dog.
Something,
out.
right?
Yeah.
That's your first instinct. Okay, I need something to protect myself. I don't know what's going on. My first thought is not like say like crouch in the corner and hope nothing happens.
And pray.
And pray. You could do that too. But I'm just
Pray,
saying,
yeah.
the first instinct is like to grab something just in case somebody comes in, right? It's like grabbing a bat. Something if you have a bat at home, a golf club, a knife, something.
I mean, you have to admit that people who break into homes, they do respond very well to someone shooting at them.
Oh, for sure.
They leave.
And it's not like it's not a situation I'm hoping to be in or like excited to be in.
Like you don't want to be in it.
But it's just another tool there.
I'd rather have it and not need it ever
Oh, for
than
sure.
need it and not
Yeah.
have it. That's my
Yeah.
bottom line.
But
And it is
then-
for protection
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's what it's for. I don't like to go shoot at targets. I like hunting. I like, you know what I mean? We used to use them to kill deer and, you know, other game. But realistically, like, what is it for? Like,
Would people think twice going into your home if
I don't
If-
think people should know you even
Yeah.
are a, you know, carrier.
I
like,
know what I'm saying
put it
though,
out
but
there. No,
would
it's just-
people feel like they would think twice before going into your house if they knew you had a gun?
Probably.
The answer is yes.
Probably.
Yeah, well, the majority of households in the United States are
Oh, yeah.
gun bearers. You know what I mean? And like the thing is to like, I think that they're dangerous. I do in the wrong hands,
Oh, for sure.
and when not educated about them, because like this should be like a completely last resort. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would rather call the cops all day. If I hear someone breaking down, I'm gonna call the cops. There's no way I'm gonna wait for someone to come in. No, you know.
Yeah.
And in fact, like, if you're gonna mug me, like, that's fine. Take my wallet. That's okay. But if you're gonna harm like loved ones at that
but
point, like, it's not gonna happen.
that's the
you know,
problem,
and
like,
that's the issue.
You don't know what's coming into your house. You don't
Yeah.
know. You don't know what state of mind they are. You don't know what they want to do. Yeah, they could just want to grab something and take off, or they could want to come in here and hurt you. They don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to predict that.
What do you think about guns, Steph?
She's just listening.
Just listening.
Yeah, interesting though, huh? I think it's really hard ground to track.
And I think there's people like you guys who are Christians and they have guns and they justify the ownership of them. And there's people, I mean, you said it at the beginning, like some people will rebuke you.
I don't need that. Yeah,
I don't need that.
It's
And
like,
Christ
I pray you never do.
But
I hope I never do. You know.
Is it any different from people just liking, like, being into cars, or like being into collecting knives, or collecting cards, or collecting? You know what? Some people look at it as too, as like just they just like the mechanical of it, the machine, the thing it is. They like how it works. They like how it looks, and
they like how they sound.
they sound too. And it could be just like somebody else having a hobby that's just what they're into.
I haven't.
That might be true, but not really, because you and I know that is not like a car or
I haven't
toy.
even. Yeah, I haven't
Well, it's
even.
not, but
It's labeled a weapon. I mean,
yeah.
it really is a weapon.
But so is a knife.
So is a
you know
knife.
what I mean?
Exactly.
and
that's
a
what I'm
car
saying.
could be a
Yeah.
weapon as well.
Yeah.
What happened just in Wisconsin?
Yeah, machete kills.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not.
No, that's not what he's talking about.
No,
You heard
no.
about it.
Yeah.
The parade,
The parade. Yeah.
So I'm saying, yeah, I know it's a weapon, but it's how a person that has it views it, you know,
Abuses it. Yeah.
or like how he views it, how he sees it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people have different interpretations of it. Some people say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's scared. It's a weapon." Or say,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's a weapon."
So-
I think that back to
About to
under the
get lawyered.
law. I think like if we go back, then you have the right to have one, right?
yeah.
If you have it, you use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to use it properly,
Mhm.
then that's why the law is there to let's prosecute you
Yep.
and get you to where you need to be. If you
Exactly.
didn't, if you took advantage of that privilege in a way that you shouldn't have.
Yep.
But I think it just comes down to if you want to have it, if
Yeah.
you don't want to have it, that's your personal choice. Just like anything else, you want to be into cars, be into
Yeah.
cars. You want to be into
Yeah.
training dogs
Yeah.
for a show, go for it. Be my
Yeah.
guest.
Uh,
And I
wanna do
think
that.
that's the part where it's like, where we're just like, I need to have an opinion about what you
Yeah.
do, and then you need to hear me out. Like, really?
Like, yeah.
Uh,
We're going against something big. That's
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
But I think going back to what you said as a Christian,
That's creating quarrels at that
Yeah.
point, right? That's
Yeah.
we have something bigger.
Yeah, but
that's an issue.
But that's not the question here.
Yeah,
it's
because
not.
The
I-
issue is
I-
not whether
yeah.
you have a gun. The
It's
issue
Now,
is
I haven't even.
as a Christian,
as Christians.
I even
ask-
have a more profound
And
question,
then-
but I'll ask it off air because
and
it,
no,
gets-
ask
it
it-
gets
ask
it
it
gets
now.
hard.
Ask it now because
and Pastor, going back to that.
But I
hold
think
on.
that's a bigger question though too. Like, and
Hold on.
maybe that's a whole. Hold on,
Well,
hold on.
we could segue into
You
that. 'cause
already-
we have
wait,
another
wait,
topic,
wait,
but We
wait.
could touch this topic if you want.
Because that I'm more caught on the whole like
As a Christian.
as a Christian.
But I'm gonna touch on that. I think
Okay, go for it.
there's these issues or questions, because I was hearing a preaching that my dad had just mentioned to me, because it was really interesting, and he was talking about, the preacher was talking about, as a Christian, should you celebrate Christmas? And he went through the premise of saying God gives us freedom, right?
we are going to talk about Christmas today.
Yeah, we are? Okay. So God gives us freedom, right? And there's nothing specifically that says, "Oh, don't celebrate Christmas," or it doesn't say don't have a gun. There's no verse specifically that says that, right? And I think, and he said we could take it as far as having, like he was saying, an example of having a tie, how it has ties to paganism. The origins of a tie is paganism. It's a pagan, like worshiping a pagan god, because he worships it. I'm like, and he says there's a lot of things that have pagan backgrounds, and that the Bible's not clear on, like like for example Christmas, and I think God gives us the freedom to have your own convictions, right? As far as these things that are not clear, and I think as Christians we have to learn how to respect each other's convictions, right? And not saying like to be liberal and saying, oh yeah, everything you can do everything you want, but there's things that are not clear. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor. I don't know.
I think you're liberal.
Am I? What do you think, Pastor? Let us know.
Wait, you were gonna say something else?
I forgot.
Before he rudely interrupted her.
No, go on. I'll remember.
No, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm done. I don't know, Pastor. What do you think?
Well, I think that's what makes a difference, though. I mean, we're talking about as Christians, and I think the question that's important because you're supposed to have a biblical worldview.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it's not just an opinion of what you think a Christian should do or not do, is what the principles in Scripture. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that may not be mentioned, but there are principles to live by,
Yeah.
and the principles are eternal.
Yeah.
And the convictions that come from those principles are eternal. I think the word personal is the problem here. Personal convictions should not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Biblically based convictions,
Yeah, I think
that's what needs to exist, because that's what levels everybody into one
Yeah.
Yeah.
unity,
Submitting
a
to that.
uniformity of belief and convictions.
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem is. So I think the question is valid when you say, as a Christian, not how do I view certain things
Yeah, as a
because of
Christian.
my title,
Yeah.
but what does the Bible teach us in the full spectrum
Mhm.
of it? What does it teach us, right? And you have to look at the Old Testament, you have to look at the New Testament. One verse comes to mind, and it's Peter trying to defend Jesus
Mhm.
in the garden. And he pulls out a gun. I mean, a sword.
I was like, they didn't have guns back then.
Whoa. 9mm.
So he pulls out the sword and he goes for it. He swings.
Yeah.
And what does Jesus say?
If you live by the sword, you
Yeah,
die by it.
those who live by the sword, they die by the sword. And now we never see this behavior in Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever in the whole trajectory of his discipleship as a as a follower of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But then it comes out. So let's just say for a moment, based on your argument, is like, oh, maybe he had a secret fascination with swords and he
Mhm.
collected them. At the moment where your flesh is weak,
Yeah.
and if you can't,
Yeah. If you don't have that self-control.
if you don't
control.
have it, and all of us get to that point,
Yeah.
then what are you going to do?
That's for sure.
What are you going to do when they betray you? When you have the possibility in your hand to exact whatever is it that you want to exact from somebody, no matter how Christian you are, if they hurt you and it hurts,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think it goes back to that.
Yeah.
So Jesus said that to Peter. I think the same should be, said to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question.
And I think it's interesting. Now, does that settle the argument? No, it
No, it
doesn't settle
doesn't,
the
yeah.
argument at all. It really doesn't. And I think at the end of the
Yeah.
day, again, I don't think it should be about my personal preference or my interpretation of it. I think I need to be conscious of how my actions and what I do in private and what I do in public impact other people,
And
how much of it really represents who I am as a Christian.
and
You understand?
Yeah. And
So
also
it comes down to that.
Yeah, and also how how a topic could also create a divide in as Christians, right? As you allow that to say, oh, just because like you said, it's still not clear, but you say, if I feel about like this for a certain topic, and I feel like the opposite of that, and that becomes discontent in each other.
But let's analyze this topic for a little.
Can I ask a question there on the whole
Go.
Peter thing?
Go.
Okay. I don't want to say it relates in the sense in this. I'm going
You
to
can
give
say
you a
whatever you
perfect
want.
example. In Texas, where that guy came into that church
Yeah.
shooting, I wouldn't be the one that looks at my brother and says, no, no, no. If you live by that sword, you're going to die by it. Don't.
Yeah.
There's children and women, and as a man, I am to preserve life. Like, I feel that I am.
Yeah, I
and
understand
therefore,
that.
like, I mean, God bless you
I understand
for
that.
being wise and being anticipating
I got
these
it,
things.
but I think there's deeper things here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that I'm against or for it. What I'm saying is that we need to start looking at the principles and reach the logical and spiritual conclusions of those principles.
sure.
That's what I'm saying, which I think most people don't. I think a few do, but not most people. So the novelist thing that Peter was doing is
Trying to protect
Jesus.
his-
who?
no,
Jesus.
Exactly. And yet Jesus says, hey, that's not the way
Yeah.
to do things.
But
Now,
now was
I understand. I'm not saying
Oh.
it's I'm not saying
yeah.
in the example that you say it's very different. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm saying. What I'm saying is principles. What's the principle? So this goes to the next thing and the next question. Christians, not people, Christians who oppose and say that's bad. Why do they say that? And Christians who say no, there's nothing wrong with that. Why? So we have to sit down and see why.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I did just.
But that's what I'm saying.
And-
And that's
and
the same.
Doesn't that make it like a whole nother like tangled thing? Because then that applies to everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's it. And that's what
Because
the guy was
I like
saying.
right, like I am girl, obviously, and
Hi, girl.
according to the word, for some people, like their interpretation, I should be wearing a veil.
Amen.
I should get out of here.
I'm just playing.
We should be implementing that.
Yeah, long skirts.
Not wear pants, no makeup, no
man.
earrings, no right. And then, but according to me, it's like no, that doesn't apply anymore. Like
Yeah.
that was for whatever. I mean, I don't know,
That
but I just
specific
don't like it.
purpose?
So
Yeah.
yeah, and that I'm seeing that same principle,
It could be
or
applied.
that can be applied to a lot of things.
And that's what we're. And that's what I was.
And that's
well,
where it creates
that's what I'm
like
saying.
Well, yeah, right. Because there's even these people that are like,
Or
"Oh,
disagree.
I am that David. I am supposed to do this and
No, but
conquer
but
this thing." And it's
no,
like, wait a minute,
that's
that's the
true.
story of God.
that's arrebato.
No, that's the story of God,
My favorite
not
song.
not you, not your life. You
So,
know what I
Pastor,
mean?
what is the conclusion though? What's the conclusion of it? If it's not clear in the Bible, what's the conclusion of it?
Well, I just.
And
I
then
just
it comes
said
down to
I
wait.
said it
I
at the
have one more.
beginning.
I have one more though.
Arm up,
Like, of what?
We were talking.
Oh, the guns.
No,
stock
or-
up
or
on
that.
ammo.
There.
Or that too.
Oh, you interrupted her.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
As usual.
Wow.
For once, it wasn't me.
It's 'cause I'm not used to not talking much, so I kind of. I'm just.
Go.
No, that was it.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
That was
Ah, wait,
all.
so
Good.
so
That
should
was
we
good.
bring back veils and long no pants and all that, Pastor?
I don't know. Do you
Pastor,
wanna-
you're supposed to know
you
all this.
wanna wear a veil?
No, I'm good with my pants, Pastor.
Also, we need to separate the church, like
Oh, man on one
men
side.
in
No,
one
but
side,
see,
women
guys,
on the other side.
See, that's the thing that it's.
How far
but
could you
that's-
take it?
Okay,
It's just
that's
saying how
my
far
thing,
could you
though.
take it,
That's
right?
my thing.
I
'cause
think you have
how
to.
come
You
it
have
applies
take-
to some things and other things we just don't want to discuss?
No,
or
but
we're like,
That's what I'm saying because it's laziness.
Mm.
You're supposed to discuss about these things because if we don't take a stand, biblical stand on certain things, then
This
that's
is
why
a
we have.
hard topic.
That's why we
this
have.
is like
divisions.
alcohol stuff.
Those are divisions. But then in the Bible, you have to understand what you're talking about. It's a social custom. It's not ethical at all. This is ethics because of the power of the gun, and because because it's a weapon.
yes,
whether
but
you
it goes
say-
back to what we were saying of like, if we're gonna answer, that's the thing. We answer some things like Christians, and then other things is like, no, that happens within the church, so we're gonna divide this.
no,
You know what I mean? Like,
but you have to because here's the thing.
so I would want to know: are we applying this or not? And then move on. Okay,
Okay.
this subject.
And keep
move on,
you
you know,
keep
like,
you
what it is. Here
keep
it
you
is.
constant.
Here it is.
yeah.
In the Bible,
But I'm
you
not
have-
gonna wear skirts to lead.
in the Bible.
Melo.
In the Bible, you have ethical issues.
Mm-hmm.
You have issues that have to do with customs. You have religious issues. Okay? So the way that you deal with things is looking at what the nature of the issue is. Now, what does the Bible say about ethics? What does the Bible say about customs and social customs? And what does the Bible say about rituals? What does the Bible say about theology? What does the Bible say about the
That's
character
too
of God?
complicated, Pastor.
No,
I'm
it's-
lost.
Yeah, he just hit me with his degree.
No. But
I
see,
give up.
but see, this is precisely what needs to be done, because then you carry an argument to something that doesn't apply. Like, for example, we're talking
I
about
just want to know how I get to heaven.
we're talking about two different things. Dressing up in long
Jesus.
skirt and stuff
Okay.
like that is more of a social custom issue, and
Repeat it.
guns and weapons is more of an ethical issue.
But we can both agree that they're issues.
Yeah, they're issues.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
talking about. The big
So
picture.
some of so the big picture is this: some of them have been resolved, and some of them they haven't been resolved in the way that we wish they were resolved, because of the complications of the ethical aspects of them. Right? So is it let me give you this one. Is it correct to take a life? You're going to say to me, in certain circumstances,
Depends.
right?
Yeah.
It depends.
It absolutely depends.
And even when you read scripture, there is an ethical issue that has to do with taking a life or not. There's moments when the Bible tells you, if you do it by accident, it was an accident. There's certain penalties, but you don't get the same punishment that you should deserve. But if you just take a life, then the punishment is different, and the way that is deal with is different. So that's one thing. That's what you have to look at. Because if you talk about skirts and veils and all those things, that's a social custom,
I see.
right? That's not a life or death issue. That's more of a, I don't know, like more of a,
Preferences
yeah, exactly. I mean, how does,
within a
within a group, within the community, that you have to.
But if we're taking it back to like what we were saying, that as a Christian, then why do that's
because
my
people mix
conflict,
the
like,
two. They
Mix
want to
how
mix
do
both.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's the thing, that
Yeah.
the religious
So-
person
so my
wants to
question-
mix
yeah,
the
so my
social
yeah.
with the
Okay,
moral
and then how do we apply that then to the other
By
topics
separating
that
them.
are touchy too?
by putting them
Like
in their
what?
place.
Let's say
Dancing,
like
drinking,
dancing, drinking, or dancing,
all of it. It's the same
alcohol,
touchy
tattoos,
places.
piercings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Your way of dressing.
Oh, this is a
like,
good one.
How do we apply that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
We put them in their place first, is what I'm understanding for now.
because back and maybe that's a question and not like a statement. If we go back, what was I saying?
Never mind.
No,
Again?
you were saying like there's like how we interpret it, and we all have to agree on this standard, right? Like
Yeah,
you worded it in
but
a
yeah.
different way.
Yeah. So when it comes to who God is, when it comes to what He says, when it comes to the way we should live,
Interpret it. Yeah.
right? Those things need to be agreed upon, because that's what makes us who we are,
Yeah.
Right. And so you said there's one already,
right?
like the Bible tells us. But then we have interpretations that are different.
Of the liberties.
Of
Well, I think
when
the
that
big-
applies
yeah,
or not.
the
And
bigger
that's my question.
The bigger problem is liberties.
Yes.
Like, what liberties do I have and what liberties don't I have?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then for that, it's easy. You have two camps: people who think they have liberty in Christ to do anything that they want to do because of their conscience, and you have people who don't think that way, who think that are responsible. I'm of the camp. I'll tell you where I'm from. I'm of the camp where I think, as a follower of Christ, who professes His name, and who has been entrusted
Mhm.
with the gospel, I understand through Scripture that I have to be responsible with the way that I live,
Yeah.
with everything that I do.
Well, you need to be set apart.
Yeah, I understand that, and I understand the Scripture tells me that, and I understand that Paul says that my freedom in Christ should not be used for sinning or enticing people to sin or making them stumble. I understand that as Christians, we have a vocation that we need to follow. And this vocation that we need to follow, we need to be true to it, which means that if it's a vocation from God, it's going to be different from the world. I think what happens is that not a lot of people think that way. Oh, grace, it's done.
Yeah.
He died.
Died.
I'm cleansed. and I can do whatever I want.
No, but is
And
that really? That's
well, there's-
perversion.
well,
Yeah,
the-
that-
well,
That's
hold on a
horrible.
second, but tell that to the people.
Yeah.
I
like-
will like.
Tell that to the people who, like Steph, for example,
Canto.
comes and says, I see nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with dancing.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I see absolutely nothing wrong with drinking because I have control over it. I see absolutely nothing wrong with watching horror movies because, nothing happens.
Well,
So
I can only be very
so
specific
the
the way
line
you see it, though,
is-
right?
The line is, what do we do with that?
Yeah.
I've encountered people who see absolutely nothing wrong with those things. Nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, what's going on? And I think that's where you have the problem, because we have a whole camp of people that are saying these things and it's okay, and then you have the other camp that's saying no, we should stay away from all these things and not participate. And then some people come and say, I see absolutely nothing wrong with dancing. There's nothing wrong with putting music and having that. I mean, Christian colleges, they have balls now.
Well,
And they have all
we
these
had the
things.
discussion once, and you
right?
actually convinced me. Like, yeah, I see what you mean. Where this comes from, and I understand why we wouldn't, right? And I
Yeah.
think that at the end of the day, everyone's gonna be like the whole I'm gonna use like drinking. I come from a people
Yeah.
who that's what they do. They drink at birthday parties, at this,
So my
parties, at
question-
this, at this,
So
at
my
that.
question with that is,
Yeah.
should my background determine my theology?
No, of course not.
No, but
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
we're seeing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the point.
yeah.
But my
Like it's
point-
culture, or am I
But-
coming
My
to
point
the-
is that
Yeah.
culture is dictating my theology,
Yeah,
not theology dictating my culture.
yeah,
That's where the problem is, because
for sure.
watch, you come from a background maybe.
Yeah.
Let's make this up. You come from a background.
No, let's
that-
be real.
okay, you
I'll,
come
I'll
from a
throw it on
background
there.
where you've seen this.
Yeah.
You've partaken.
Yeah.
You've taken part of this.
Mhm.
You know what it's like. You come to Christ and you're like, you know what? I want nothing to do with that.
Mhm.
I don't want to participate. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that,
Well-
and I don't think it's edifying. Let's just say
Yeah.
you say that.
Yeah.
And then another Christian comes because your background, your own what do you call it?
Conviction.
Yeah, but your cultural background
Upbringing,
is
yeah.
dictating your theology, right?
But
or
you're new.
or
That shouldn't be the
informs it
case.
or informs it
Yeah.
into convincing you, and you come to the conviction because of your experience, and you say, you know what, I see scripture, I know what it's like,
Yeah.
I put them together, so to me I'm done with that. Now you come from you have Stephanie comes from another place. She's never seen that. She's never been part of that. In fact, she's grew up in church,
Yeah.
and in church all her life they told her, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
So she never does. She goes to college. There's Christian kids, they're doing it, right?
Like, oh, what's wrong with
Yeah,
it?
what's wrong with it? Absolutely nothing. All of a sudden, it's not my theology that's informing my culture anymore. Now my culture,
environment.
Yeah, my culture, my environment is dictating my theology. And I think that's where the problem is. Because if she comes and says, it's okay to do it because I never experienced that, but you experienced,
Yeah.
and for me it's okay because my dad used to drink and he was a pastor and I never saw anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Right? So your culture is informing your theology and therefore your practice.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. No,
That's,
yeah.
that's what's complicated about it.
I want to be specific with the whole drinking
to
thing.
a bunch.
I have I see a bigger. Oh, I'm sorry. Before
No,
you
go
forget,
ahead, go ahead.
I see a bigger issue, like in that specific thing. Like, okay, like say you grew up in that, you partook in it, the whole works, right? And all of a sudden you come to Christ.
Yeah.
And you live your life different. You know what I mean? And you see that brings nothing. That's a downfall. If anything, that's like the enemy uses that to bring generations and people around you down. You know what I mean? Most like of the struggles and issues that have happened are very related to that. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
You see all of a sudden that conviction where I'm like, hey, you know what? Realistically, when I see the Bible, like, okay, it immediately tells me drunkenness is a sin.
Yeah, but see,
And here's
but
my
see,
thing.
I
though.
heard this.
But wait, I'm not even at that.
But
place
I heard
yet.
this. As long as I don't get drunk.
No. Well, because it goes further than that. Like, if you're entrusted to minister people, and like you said, like, hey, you've been entrusted these things, then how can I help those people that do struggle with it if I'm partaking in the things that they struggle with, right? However, I also see this. This I see, and it's even a bigger issue when someone says like, "Hey, you know what I mean?" Like if I'm over here, like, "Hey, no, like we're not. I'd rather not, and I'd rather you not do that." But they do. I'm not gonna stand here and say that they love Jesus any less than me. Absolutely not. You know that they're not there yet, no problem. But I'm not gonna build any quarrel in my heart, and I'm not gonna bring that division. Because none the least, he is washed by the blood. And he is, and I can pray for this person.
Yeah.
But I refuse to bring division.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Never. Like,
But then-
and if that's the case, I can pray and I can say, hey, I hope that you get to this place to where you understand what's at
Yeah.
stake and what
But
you're being
then-
entrusted.
then,
But none the least,
but then
you are
but
still.
the issue becomes
Yeah.
very fundamental then, because what
Mm.
you have is a division. You have schism already in the
See,
church. You
there's
have
sin-
you have a deep division.
That doesn't
because-
scare me, though. You know what I mean?
but-
And
but
I
there-
don't feel better than
But
them.
no, it's not about that. What I'm saying is that you already have a division, because if you have two camps where one practices something that you think it's wrong and they don't think it's wrong, and they think that you're ridiculous, but they don't say you to your face, but they love you anyways, and you do the same to them, you have a schism. You have a big division between the church, because then the question remains, and the question is this: and why then?
Hmm.
Why should I abstain from what I'm abstaining for?
Mhm.
What is it that I gain from it?
Because he's
If-
worth it, though.
But to who? I pray not to them, and they're going to heaven anyways.
And
My bigger
in order
question
for my
too
heart's
is,
sake,
like,
Pastor, and for my heart's sake, I'm no better than them. You know, because one, and even if they are being sinful, like
But
that
the-
doesn't
yeah,
define them.
But it's
you
true.
know?
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
I know what you're saying. But you have a very American way of seeing this. You know, live and let live.
No, not
As
necessarily.
long as you love God, keep on practicing that. You love God. I'm not gonna say anything about it, because who am I to say something?
No. You're
know.
taking this all wrong, because now when they come and they say like, hey, well, why am I not seeing bigger like change? Why am I
That's a problem. though.
exactly why? Because there's little things that we die to, and when these things die, like fruit sprouts, and how do you expect spiritual fruit and God's fruit to sprout when there's so much, pardon me, crap going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I know what
if,
you mean.
I mean, this could be a Yeti cup, but if you fill it with garbage and black water, guess what? What's inside of it?
Yeah.
Garbage and black water. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care how it looks on the outside. I could wear a tie, you know, and be, beautifully groomed for
Yeah.
Sunday. But if that's what's inside, that's what's inside.
But
Then I
see-
can't wonder, ¿por qué no? Like,
Yeah.
why isn't
Yeah,
these
but
things
what-
happening?
but what I'm
Exactly
saying-
because
But
I'm
what
filled
saying
with.
is that that's what we're seeing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's my whole point. My point is that that's what we see.
Yeah.
It's like live and let live. As long as you worship the Lord and I
Nah,
worship the Lord,
no.
we love the Lord. Do what you do, and I'll do what I do.
All those little decisions matter, though.
So I know
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you don't see that in church anymore. You don't see, because the first thing that happens when you say, "Hey, brother, you shouldn't be drinking and stuff," who are you to judge me? Only God can judge me. I don't see nothing wrong with it. So all of a sudden, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
We don't have a standard anymore.
Yeah.
We really don't. In essence, Christianity is like, as long as you love the Lord and as long as you're safe, you can do whatever you want. So live the kind of Christianity that you want to live, which is absolutely different than the first century, the church in the first century, you know? And I think that's where the bigger problem is. The bigger issue is that.
Hmm.
And I think that's what Stefan is alluding to. The fact that sometimes we don't deal with the same things the way that we should deal with them, and we let some pass, and the other ones we argue about,
Yeah.
when in fact we should have a standard as a church.
Yeah.
That's why we're so fragmented.
Yeah.
Because I want to get a hold of my drinking. You can't tell me anything about it.
Yeah.
So I go to the church way where I can do it,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
Or I'll side with somebody that thinks the way that I think.
Yeah.
And I think the bigger problem is what I said at the beginning, is the bigger problem is that theology is not transforming or informing our culture. Is culture the one that is making the decision, the theological decisions and practices in life, and that's dangerous.
Agreed. Now, would you say that, hey, let's look at these things for what they are? Filth is filth. Whether you want, whether it's drinking, dancing, whatever you want to.
Who are you to tell me?
Well, correct. It's all the same.
I feel peace.
Because then here's the issue is with
I want to go dancing all night long, and I feel peace and go to church on Sunday. I feel good before the Lord.
I doubt it, but
No, seriously. What are you?
I really doubt it because
Okay, I think we're caught up in the whole like drinking and dancing and stuff. The bigger picture.
But sin is, the thing is, sin is sin.
Yes,
like,
but
like
exactly my point.
yeah.
And what I really want to get to is that because when we talk about that, like drunkenness and like sexual immorality and stuff, but it also mentions strife, jealousy, fits of
Amen.
anger,
A bunch of different
rivalries,
ones.
Bam, bam.
dissensions, divisions, envy,
Bunch of 'em,
and those we don't talk about that, and those are within the church,
Yeah.
like within
I
us. But
think-
we're so caught up on
Yeah.
dancing and drinking and stuff.
The big
Listen,
picture, the big.
my
bulletin
opinion
board,
is like do
but
what
those
you
weigh
want.
you down just as much or more.
Yeah, do what you want. I'm not going to give accounts for you. I can only give accounts for myself, but I need to make sure that this is not happening either, you know?
But-
And we don't discuss that thing. And maybe I think you're seeing it from a pastoral perspective because you're in charge like of the people and stuff. I'm not, right? I'm just trying to
trying to do
figure
it right.
out
Lead
like
people, though.
listen, how is my drunkenness and dancing any less than my envy and my fits of anger?
No, see, I see it differently.
See, I think they're one
I-
and the same.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
I think
Yeah.
they're
So if I'm bringing this up,
they're symptomatic.
what
They're-
about this?
They're manifestations of the same root cause.
They're
Exactly.
symptomatic of something that's happening
Yeah.
deep
Yes.
within.
I think we're
Dip
caught
within.
up on the definitions of
Yeah.
drunkenness and
Dancing.
dancing
No, to
and
me-
immorality.
Yeah.
To me,
And I'm like, what about my heart condition?
to me, I'm conscious that people do what they do because of the underlying things that happens in their
Yeah.
heart. We never do things in emptiness or in the vacuum. We never do.
Exactly.
We never do. Everything we do, every action we do, is the source of it is what's in your heart
Well-
and whether your convictions have changed or not. Now, I've been pastoring this church for freaking 15 years. That's
100
not
years.
a lot. That's not a lot. But throughout my years here, and you should know this, one of the things that I always talk about is the fact that we can't just be spiritual and say all these things and then have all that stuff that you just read in your heart and pretend that everything's okay, because it's not. You're going to go to hell.
Whoa.
You're going to go to hell. If you don't fix those things, if you don't work on those
Amen.
things, if you don't work on yourself and saying, you know what, I'm not going to hate. I am not going to be grudging against anybody. I'm not going to slander. If you don't work on those things and you still believe in yourself being a Christian and a follower of Christ,
Yeah.
they're contradictory. You can't. And then it's going to manifest on what your priorities are, on what you find enjoyment in.
Yeah.
It's going to show.
Fulfillment, right?
It's going to show.
Yeah.
This is what's important to you.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, drunkenness, dancing, all these things, to me, they're a little part of a bigger problem inside.
Yes.
And they're the manifestation. You said it right. The manifestation of a life that all of a sudden
It's rooted to something else.
it's
yeah.
rooted into something else.
Yeah.
Its
It's a symptom.
foundation is
Yeah.
not Christ Himself. And I mean, and you might have people listening and saying, "Wait, I love the Lord." I don't doubt that you feel that you do.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that you feel you're a devout Christian, but it's not what we feel.
Yeah.
Is the decisions we make, is how radical am I willing to be for the sake
Set
of
apart.
for the sake of the Lord? What am I willing to surrender? Even if I think that there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
am I willing to surrender it? And if the answer is no, it's because
It's got control of you.
there's deeper things in you that you need to surrender. But I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you.
They're
I
all
don't-
one and the same.
I don't want to be like freaking. Oh, I'm 25 years in gospel and I'm still bitter and I'm still like immature.
I
I'm going
was
to hell.
listening to
I'm going to hell.
to someone that shall not be named,
The
and
unnameable.
I found it interesting what she said. She said that I think for a week or two, I don't know, for a period of time, she wrote down everything that her hands did.
I listened to that.
Everything. Because she said, I want to know, like, she wanted insight into her thoughts. But if she wrote what her thoughts were, like, that could kind of be, like, deceiving, maybe. I should use some other words. But in writing what her hands did, then she had an insight into her thoughts because now they were actions.
But do you think that might have been a condition in her own mind that she had like
Yeah, but
created a
wait,
block
I'm
to
getting
shield herself from what she was doing?
but I'm getting to this.
Okay.
For that very reason, she didn't want to create that. So she was saying, if I do this, then there's no denying that I did it, right? So if I write it down, there's no denying that I am the one that actually fulfilled that thought. It became an action. And I wonder, like, how much do we, if we were to do that, you know, like for a week or something, and really say, hey, now what I'm doing with my hands or what I'm speaking, like, would that give insight into our own condition? And maybe, I don't know,
Find
maybe
the
I'm
root
just
cause?
thinking out loud, you know,
I mean,
like,
you're absolutely right, and I don't know who this is, but it's not something that I haven't said before. I mean, no, I'm serious. One of the things that we do less is we do not assess ourselves on a weekly basis,
On a daily.
on a daily basis. I say
suck
weekly
every
because
day.
of the classes I've taught, but if you assessed yourself, really assess yourself, every thought, every action, every motivation, let's go beyond thoughts and actions, motivations, intentions, desires of your heart. Why do you feel the way that you feel at that particular moment? And where does that feeling lead you? What is it that the action, is it related to God or not related to God? When you make an assessment, you're going to find out, and I said it today when I was preaching, that we are horrible, horrible people.
When we do that every day,
And-
we
and-
see exactly how much we need that sinner's prayer every single
Exactly.
day of our lives. And that's
Exactly.
not just for new believers. That's for me.
Yeah, so
every
so
day.
David said, you know, against you I have sinned, and I recognize my sin before you.
Yeah.
You know, now when was the last time Christians did an assessment of themselves? I think when you do, you come to the conclusion that Paul came to. You know, I am the chief of sinners. I need salvation, and I have no right whatsoever but to work on myself and to put myself before God in his merciful hands so that he can change me and teach me. But, Steph, people don't do that.
I think we don't do that.
People don't do that.
Well, I say I don't.
And if pastor tells you something, that's when you either say, oh, what a great message, or you get angry because
How dare you?
didn't like it. One of the two. I shouldn't be. Prophets were sent to speak to people that did not want to admit who they were.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're of truth, but that's what Jesus says. If you're from the truth, if you are on the side of truth, you hear truth. You recognize truth. You don't fight against it.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of assessment, whatever she did, I don't know what she did, but what that kind of assessment is something that we need to be doing every single day.
Yeah.
Because it'll show you, it really will show you who you are. You know?
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit, my goodness. I mean, my experiences with God, I'm telling you, they have been in the private when the Holy Spirit's telling me, hey, that was not right, you know? And you are transformed when you let yourself. I think those things should be done by Christians, you know? Why do you think the way, I love that what God told Adam, who taught you how to think like that? Who taught you how to act like that? What did you do? You know? And I think that kind of assessment will bring us to a place where not only are we more humble.
Why do I believe that?
Yeah. Not only are we more humble, but we have the conviction, enough conviction to say, Steph, what you're doing is wrong. Despite the fact that she gets angry.
I think there probably wouldn't be any need for that if
We'd be
like
humbled.
that was really truly practiced, right? Because then in that sense you would practice self-control or whatever you attach to that, right? And you would practice the fruit of the Spirit. So You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
We
Exactly.
we'd
there
be humble
probably
before
be
God,
no
like pastors
need,
taught
yeah.
before.
Or your answer would
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I already know, like
Ye-
I messed up.
Yeah,
Pray
you
for
know?
me.
Like,
Thank you
I
for that.
struggle with
Yeah.
this.
I'm
Yeah.
struggling with it.
Like, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank
and
you so
you
much.
know, yeah, I appreciate it.
Isn't that mind blowing though?
But that's what it's supposed to be.
Eh.
And I said it today because it blew my mind. I was reading Acts chapter 5, and you know, Ananias and Sapphira, they dropped dead because of what they did.
Yeah.
And then we're thinking, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. No. Hold on a second. No, we are so wrong with that
Yeah.
because it should happen.
You're lucky.
No, we're not lucky. We're God. Instead of doing that, He's given us grace. He's given us the opposite. But that's what should be happening, and that's what really, I mean, because what you're saying is like, man, what was that sin so severe that deserved death? That's the standard. That's the standard.
Price of sin is.
That's the standard.
That's the wage.
That is, and we're talking about Christians, believers who attempted to do something good, but they got distorted, and for that. For what they did, and Peter is very clear. You could have kept the money, but now you're trying to lie, and they they both died, and we're thinking how severe? No. Please, let's not forget the seriousness of sin.
Yeah.
Even, especially, listen to this, especially inside the church. Yeah. This wasn't the world that God was judging; it was believers inside the church. That's the standard. And that is theirs to let us know that God still sees sin in the same way with the same penalty. What about Christ? What about him? Didn't he pay? Mm-hmm. He paid for those who are repentant, not for those who want to continue in whatever it is that they're due, still believing that they're Christians. So I think the confusion is like, oh, that doesn't happen anymore. No. God is showing his mercy, but that's what should happen. That's how serious God takes sin, even now in New Testament times and in the period of grace. Just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean that God is not interested. It's just that he understands, and I think in his mercy he knows that if that is true, right, then we will be in another place as Christians.
Yeah.
Don't you think? But
What do you think, Isaac?
I think that ends the discussion. I think because of the things that are inside the heart, you manifest them. I mean, that's what Galatians says. The works of the flesh are manifest. They want to show. They you will never stop them from showing, right? And
I
it's
know
not. I don't doubt that you have feelings for Christ and you think you're a follower. Like
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. Like you're convinced of it because you just love the Lord so much. But let's remember that love for the Lord is shown in obedience and holiness. Not on what I say, not on my feelings, but on my obedience and my holiness. And I love that phrase. I can't remember it. I'll come back to it. Deliberate actions or deliberate deliberate actions for holiness.
Well, Pastor, think of the, like, when you say, like, I have no doubt that you do have those feelings, that you're devoted to him, and you love Christ, right? It reminds me, I recently heard somebody talking about the rich young ruler. He had followed the commandments. He had done these things, right? And then, like, Jesus looks at him, and he knows. He says, "All right, you lack but one thing. Do this."
Mm-hmm.
And, like, people are like astounded, like, who in the world can go to heaven then in that case?
Yeah.
He says, no. With God, things are possible. These things are possible. God wasn't in his rightful place, correct?
God what?
God wasn't in his rightful place in that man's heart,
No,
because everything else was all those actions, all the commandments, everything, all the checklist was fulfilled, but God wasn't on his rightful throne in his heart, right? Because there was a rival, which was his possessions, his riches.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus can't have a rival in our hearts of like, I like these things also. He needs to be
Yeah.
like crowned and enthroned in our hearts as primary, as the only, no rival. Like we sing it. I heard someone say that, we sing that all the time. Like you have no rival, and it's real. He doesn't have a rival. Jesus has no rival, but he doesn't hear like the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And we give it to anything else. And I know it's like super like a children's thing. I remember when I first started, like when I became Christian, I heard someone say like, "Oh, it's like a war going on inside of you. What do you feed?" You know what I mean? You feed the spirit, you feed the flesh. Like whoever you feed more is going to win. That is reality. That truly is reality, because if I go home and if I just, I'm going to, tomorrow, I have work tomorrow. I don't have to come back to church till Wednesday. I want to listen to this instead, I want to watch this stuff. Like, I don't need, I'm sleepy. I don't want to pray today. I haven't had coffee. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm just going to go to bed, Little by little,
Yeah.
I begin to long for things of the past. I begin to give life to what should be dead.
You become nostalgic with sin.
Yep. And I start to, remember, like, that was fun.
Yeah.
That's fulfilling.
Let me do it again.
Let me wonder about these
let me go
things.
back
Let
to
me,
that. Yeah.
And
you said the rich young ruler, and it's what makes you rich. What makes you rich? It doesn't have to be money, but what makes you, fulfilled outside of Christ? That's what you have to think about. What's of value to you? Tremendous values that you're not willing to do what God wants you to do. And I said it, for some people is their character, their attitudes, their grudges, their bitterness, their enjoyment, their desires. For some people, that's what makes them rich. Makes them feel in control. And that's what Jesus was asking. Let go of that control. That makes you important. That makes you someone that you think because of that you're worth something. Let it go. And follow me. And he's like, no. I can't. I'm fine with my bitterness. I'm fine with my desires. I'm fine with my obsessions. That's fine.
That's sad.
That makes me rich.
He turned around.
That's sad. But how many Christians do that? And what's worse, they don't turn around. They keeping on thinking that everything's okay. And it really isn't. And I think, if anything, beyond a liberal Christianity, beyond a Christianity that oppresses people with rules and regulations, beyond fanaticism, I think we need to come to a place where the church needs to wake up and say, hey, what does it take to be holy? Beyond the sanctification process of the Holy Spirit, what is my part? Not what I think, but what really Jesus desires of me, that will make me stand out and be set apart from the world. So if that's the case, then we end discussions whether you dance or not, whether I drink or not, whether you do this or I do that. I mean, it comes to a point where you surrender yourself to the standard that God has put, that will make us witnesses to a world. Because I ask again, what's the difference then between you and what you do and people who don't have Christ and what they do? What's the difference?
It should be,
there should
clear
be
as day.
There should be a marked difference that has to do with your values, your convictions, your principles, and that will determine everything that you do in life. You might go to the same place that people work that don't have Christ, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna behave the same way or follow the same currents.
Yeah.
You're going to stand out because of what you believe and who you honor, and a lot of Christians, they just honor their bodies, right? Whatever gives them, I don't know, pleasure satisfaction. Yeah. And I love Christ too, by the way. Like, I love the Lord. I don't know how that works. I mean, at least I don't think so. Hi, Drea. God bless you.
Well, at the end, it's
Andrea's watching.
you either serve two masters or you don't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to hate one or the other.
And I think for the most part, the church, at least in the environment we live in, we've lost a sense of holiness, separation, distinction, and surrendering and denial and all those things. It has been lost for the most part. I mean, you see a Christian that doesn't do certain things, what do? You're so ridiculous. Why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest it's the hardest place to be holy is in the same church.
Yeah.
Because the amount of Christians that, for them holiness is just living your life normal.
Yeah.
It's become hard for people like Christians who go to conservative Christians that go to colleges, Christian colleges where there's a little bit of everything. They're gonna have a hard time shining because they're gonna question what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the bottom line is like culture cannot dictate our theology. Theology needs to transform the way we see culture, and I think the heart of the problem is that.
Yeah. What do you think, Isaac?
Amen.
Say something.
He's been quiet all the time.
Make him say something.
I don't know, Isaac. What do you think about gun control?
Gun control? Let's give everybody a gun.
No. So back to this. Back to the gun thing, Pastor. How do you feel about like as our pastor? How do you feel about
my personal?
Yeah, how do you feel about like
I can tell you my
fellow?
I can tell my opinion.
Your sheep.
So he's in solid guns.
I can tell my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's what
right. And my biblical view of it is, I go back to Peter and hope and pray that I don't find myself in that situation. I'm not ready to take a life. I know that we can put different scenarios where we say like, well, if there's a gun and my kids are in between, and what would I do? I'm not there yet. Even then, don't feel like I could. I don't feel like I could take a life. If anything, I don't know, take my life. I don't know. I don't feel that I could do that. Yet, if you own a gun, you have legitimate theological and ethical reasons why you have one. If you have control over your emotions, if you're a master of your own domain, I have nothing to say.
I'm a protector. I'm gonna protect my family and my church.
If you look, how would you interpret that verse? He says, "Well, if you live by the sword, die by the sword," or in that specific moment.
Context. It's context.
That's what I'm saying.
Because this Jesus.
I know.
It's context.
It's not the same thing.
Context, but I think for homework is what's the principle.
Yeah.
You think he was talking about how he was quick to do it?
I think he was talking. You're not asking me, but I think he was talking about like
his first reaction was to
his heart condition. It was a learning, and we've learned this from
But
you.
he was trying to impede what God was doing. He was meant to be captured.
Hold on a second.
First of all,
hold on a second. But you're talking about from a perspective of 2,000 years.
You have
of
that
reflection in theology. He did not.
Indeed.
Right. So go ahead.
What? I missed it.
Oh, come on, Steve. Because you guys keep interrupting her.
No, you did. I did.
I had to attack. Explain.
Well, go ahead.
What Pastor basically said is like Tupac said, "I ain't a killer, but don't push me."
No, I'm saying I remember. I think
Just
he
kidding.
was what you said. Like he was addressing his reaction. Like, hey, think
anger.
about what you exactly.
Yeah.
It goes back to that.
Yeah.
His anger and his
Yeah.
thing to do it
Wow, I
under
like
his
that.
own
Yeah.
control.
Yeah, and I definitely
I'm
would
so
say
glad
that.
I told
And
you guys
also
so well.
remember that. Well, there
I
was.
think
bigger
Pastor's gonna sit
picture,
us all
right?
down
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah, he was
So-
working. He was working. He was doing something.
Yeah, he
Who was
doing
working?
something.
Pedro.
Jesus was working something.
Oh, yeah.
His whole reason why again.
There was a plan
There's a
in
plan.
place.
He says that. And I
Yeah,
think
again, in retrospect, there is, but I
Yeah.
think the source is what's important here.
yeah,
Is the motivation.
the motivation.
It's what's in the heart.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use the sword.
And
I'm
I
gonna
think-
use a.
And I think that's where it is. And I think,
No,
and I think it comes from a place
Yeah.
of, it comes from a place, listen to this, because
Mhm.
besides anger, check this one out.
Into the mic. Into the mic. Into the mic.
It's a place of control.
Control.
You want to control the situation. You want to control the threats. You want to
Yeah.
control what is standing between you.
But I have a
You
question now.
Yeah.
Does that open a bigger picture?
I'm just saying.
Because
I'm just.
then
I'm
can
just-
we apply
I'm just
that
saying, Peter.
our need for control in other things?
Yeah, of course.
And how
Yeah.
that is a sin too, and we
Yeah,
might
of course.
not be seeing that.
Of course.
Yeah.
I agree with
He
you.
has been
100%.
consistent. I like it.
Yeah. You have to.
Crazy.
You
Is
have to.
it?
You have to because
Yeah.
if you notice, notice please. Please notice this.
What?
Notice notice what I'm going
I'm listening.
notice what I'm about to say.
Uh-huh.
I watched that movie and it was on Netflix.
A huge percentage of what we do, if we're not careful, has to do with controlling
Oh, for sure.
everything.
Yeah.
Our day, our situation. And then that kind of bleeds into God himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
about
I
it.
also think
Think
cannot
about it.
be mistaken for our lack of, though, right?
What do you mean?
Like, we also need to be proactive in what we do. So we can't just say, like, I'm going to let God have control. And he's like, dummy, I'm telling you to
And
do
don't do
something
nothing?
and not do it,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Because then it goes back
yeah,
to,
but
like,
you know, but you
okay,
know,
I give you 1 coin, I give you 3, and I give you 5.
but let
And
me
then
ask
I'm
you
like,
this.
"That's
But let me
not
ask you
gonna do
this in that note.
What?
Going back to Peter in the garden, do you think that's what he was doing?
it." No, we moved
does-
on from the subject. matter.
No, but let's go back to Peter because do you think? I mean, applying that logic, which one is it? Do you think that that's what he was trying to do, being proactive?
What about when
Or
God
to
has
use-
said though,
or-
leave none?
No,
Or-
but I'm saying
do you
wipe 'em
I
all
was
out.
separating them. I'm separating. I'm
Exactly.
saying like one, yes, we need to be careful with our control, like our need for control of
Yeah.
all things.
Yeah,
But also we also like separate it from the when we need to
Yeah,
do something.
but see, one
we
thing-
have
one
to,
thing
you
is
know, and
different.
we can't just be irresponsible
one
and
thing is
say,
different than the other, and I agree with you. You have to be responsible when you need to. But my question goes back to him because it applies to us.
Mhm.
Was he acting out of responsibility,
No, his anger.
or was he acting out of, you know, a sense of being in control of the situation,
Control.
right? So in his case, is that I'll tell you why, because I have proof.
Mhm.
Because earlier when Jesus said, "I'm gonna get crucified when I go to Jerusalem," he pulls him apart. Peter does, and he tells him, "Don't do this to yourself, please." What are you talking about?
Mhm.
Right? So even from that moment, he's already trying to control the situation
So there's a pattern.
so that he doesn't fulfill that, so that he doesn't
Mhm.
go through that. And he's thinking, I'm doing something good, but in reality, he's showing his control. Now, that was one thing. It becomes executed through the sword in the garden. So you already see something in him that leads him to believe that he can control the situation with the sword, right? That's not I cannot say that he's being responsible for something that he was never told to do.
No, we're
Well,
not-
even
we're
before
not
when he calls him
saying
Satan,
that.
right?
Exactly.
He's like,
So now going back to the comment, yes, I think you have to make a distinction between am I controlling and acting
against the will.
on a sense of loss or because I feel out of control and I feel desperate that I need to do this, or do I understand that God is telling me, hey, green light,
Go.
there's certain things that you need to do, and we need to discern the difference, because if you don't, then that's when you
now
get
we're
in
getting
trouble.
somewhere deeper then.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because
That's when you're going to trouble, because then you even end up controlling God. Now, you don't say that, but when you say something like, God, why didn't you? That's a sense of control right there.
Yeah.
You should have, right? Just like Martha, was it Mary? No, Mary or Martha?
tell her to.
Yeah, told Jesus when, hey, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have
Oh.
died. You know? What is that? What is that? It's
Control.
a sense of this, I'm out of control. I need to regain that control. And I think that's where it is. And we go back to the assessment. You can't look, if you want a tip for your Christian life, you can't just put it in the background. You can't just drive through it. You can't. You have to pay attention every single day to your tendencies, where you get tempted, why you get tempted, when does it happen,
Amen.
what is it that you truly believe beyond the song that you sang or the things that you said at church? How does that deny or confirm, you know? And I think that's where it is. And that's how you get discernment through the Spirit of God, yes, but the Spirit of God will teach you every day how to detect those little things.
Yes.
So I think you do have to have a sense of responsibility. I've said it. I mean, my whole song with my life as a pastor has been that. It hasn't been like, oh, claim it and claim it and reclaim it, make it. My whole thing as a pastor has been responsibility. We need to take responsibility for our part, and it's a huge one.
Yeah.
As long as we live on this earth, you know. So I think, you know, there is a sense of where we want to. I mean, who likes to experience things where you feel out of control? It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the need to control, I think, needs to subside when we say, God, if you're in control, I'm gonna be attending to your voice, so that when you speak to me and say, go, then I'll go and do it. But if you don't have that discernment, you're not going to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anyhow, I think this is a good conversation.
Beautiful.
Anything else?
All was said.
Isaac was,
All was said.
Asleep.
yeah, quiet
Yeah.
all this time.
You guys told me not to interrupt, so I stopped interrupting.
I think he wants to go dancing. He wants to go
Liar.
dancing and drinking.
I was drinking a bunch of water.
Yeah.
Water to wine, right, my brother?
We've all done that today. Anyways, awesome, guys. So join us next time. Thank you for being with us, whoever's watching. And if you're catching this on replay, replay. We thank you too. If you like, subscribe, leave your comments, help us on how to improve. And I just want to just remind you guys that we do this every 2 weeks when we can.
We have a chance.
But also, I want to remind you that
Two-ish, weekish.
two-ish weekish, yeah. But I want to remind you guys that most of us, not all of us, but most of us come early in the morning on Sunday. We do 2 services, two ministering times, and then we end up late. So by the time we come and we sit here, most of us are tired, and
That's why I was a little quiet today.
and we're dozing
Like
off. But
a
you know, we
You've
think
been on vacay for I don't know. how
COVID
many
after
weeks.
effects.
yeah,
It's the COVID. I wasn't on I wouldn't call that a vacation.
it wasn't nice.
You
What
had
were you
the
doing,
sniffles.
working?
I wasn't working, but I wasn't like
Yeah.
having fun,
You
relaxing.
had the sniffles.
It's a vacay.
No, having COVID is not a vacation.
You had the sniffles.
You didn't have
played
anything,
PlayStation.
Work.
dude.
What do you mean?
All right, let's wrap it up.
We'll leave this discussion offline.
No, that's for
God bless you guys, and I hope
Do
to
it
see you
now.
guys next time. So until then, stay bright.